Key revelations from leaked audio of Australian billionaire bragging about Trump talk, #verifyErrors. Message, verify errors. Verify errors, something went wrong. Please try again later. Verify errors, Donald Trump is once again at the center of explosive leaked audio, this time after an Australian billionaire and member of his Mar-a-Lago club gabbed about his extensive conversations with the former president. Anthony Pratt, a businessman and chairman of Visy Industries, was heard on the tapes describing how Mr. Trump would objectify his own wife and brag about his access to world leaders and U.S. national security secrets as he sought to impress his friends and colleagues in the business world. Audio of Mr. Pratt making those remarks was published by 60 Minutes Australia over the weekend. It all comes after Mr. Trump was separately reported by ABC News in early October to have discussed a much more serious topic with Mr. Pratt: U.S. nuclear submarines and their capabilities. On the 5th of October, the news outlet cited sources familiar with the Department of Justice's investigation into Mr. Trump's handling of classified materials as saying that the matter had come up in the agency's ongoing prosecution of the former president. Should the agency find that Mr. Trump shared top-secret information with Mr. Pratt, he could face a superseding indictment in one of his 2 federal cases. In what could be one of the more shocking descriptions of Mr. Trump's relationships with leaders around the world, Mr. Pratt described a conversation between then-President Trump and a leader of Iraq, presumably then Iraqi President Barham Saleh. According to Mr. Pratt, his U.S. friend had boasted about browbeating Mr. Saleh after the U.S. strike targeting Qasem Soleimani, leader of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC. Soleimani was accused of directing Iranian-aligned forces against U.S. troops and interests throughout the Middle East. Time equals 400 ms. greater than, I just bombed Iraq today, Mr. Pratt recalls Mr. Trump as saying. And the president of Iraq called me up and said, "You just leveled my city." And I said to him, "Okay, what are you going to do about it?" Mr. Pratt alleges the U.S. president claimed to have responded. Time equals 400 ms. greater than. The comments underscore the lack of respect Mr. Trump was known to show his colleagues on the world stage at times, the notable exception to that rule being Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, who enjoyed a warm relationship with Mr. Trump and largely avoids any criticism from his U.S. counterpart, even now. Time equals 400 ms. greater than. The Ukraine call was just the beginning. Keeping on the topic of Mr. Trump's conversations with world leaders, Mr. Pratt made another piece of news with his description of Mr. Trump's boasts related to the first impeachment effort launched by Democrats in 2020. At that time, Mr. Trump faced allegations of improperly pressuring Ukraine's president into opening a criminal investigation into Joe Biden, with the intent of causing political damage to his 2020 rival. At a Senate trial, Mr. Trump was acquitted along near party lines, though one member of the GOP broke ranks and voted for his removal from office. But according to Mr. Pratt's retelling of his talks with the president, the now infamous phone call between Mr. Trump and Volodymyr Zelensky was just the tip of the iceberg. Trump said, "You know that Ukraine phone call? That was nothing compared to what I usually do," Mr. Pratt is heard saying on the audio. It's hard to say what other outlandish demands Mr. Trump could have been making to world leaders, or whether the entire claim is just another one of Mr. Trump's boasts that did not correspond to reality. But the obvious implications behind the reported remarks clash quite severely with how Mr. Trump has described his call with the Ukrainian leader, which he often refers to as perfect and totally above board. Time equals 400 ms. greater than. America's First Lady is treated like an object easily. The most controversial accusation leveled by Mr. Pratt in the recordings relates to a conversation he supposedly had with Mr. Trump at Mar-a-Lago, alongside other guests and Mr. Trump's wife, Melania. Time equals 400 ms. greater than. According to the Australian billionaire, the ex-US president bragged in front of his wife about parading Melania around in a bikini, so all the other guys could get a look at what they're missing. Melania, quick with a jab in response, supposedly shot back, "I'll do that when you walk around with me in your bikini." None of this is surprising or proven. While all of the above revelations from Mr. Pratt are well within the known boundaries of Donald Trump's character, it should be noted that this is all secondhand information, albeit from a source with no known grudge or animosity towards the U.S. ex-president. Mr. Trump, for his part, has lashed out at Mr. Pratt as a weirdo on social media, likely guaranteeing that any access the billionaire had at Mar-a-Lago has just ended. He didn't deny any of the claims made by Mr. Pratt in the leaked audio. He did, however, dispute the ABC News report which claimed that Mr. Pratt had told Special Counsel Jack Smith of the Department of Justice, as well as a number of his own confidants, that Mr. Trump had discussed U.S. nuclear submarine capabilities with him. If nothing else, Mr. Pratt is one more credible voice in the chorus accusing Mr. Trump of being careless with U.S. military secrets. Whether those accusations will result in Mr. Trump actually being held accountable for wrongdoing, that remains, for now, unclear.